Good morning, world. How y'all doing today? Man, I am feeling so much better. It is unreal how much better I feel. Well, this morning, I'd like to read to y'all an email I sent. Uh, oh gosh, to at least over 100 people. I went through the Colleyville um, websites and I copied and pasted every email address I could find for their bureaucracy, for all the people that are hired to work for the city, et cetera, et cetera. Also sent the email off to a few of the white settlement bureaucracy and police department, as well as the Colleyville Police Department, et cetera, et cetera. Now, this is all concerning a video I posted a year and a half ago um, where a Colleyville police officer came over and riled up a posse of white settlement police officers to surround my house and in complete bulletproof flat gear, assault rifles, etc., in an attempt to, I guess, punish me, take me down, tase me, beat me, I don't know, arrest me, of course, for some traffic violation warrants. You know, I thought it was just a speeding ticket, but apparently they didn't. They didn't take heed with the uh, insurance ticket that was actually covered. It wasn't my vehicle; it was a girlfriend's vehicle at the time, and it had insurance. And state law at the time said that anybody that drives that vehicle is covered by that insurance unless they're excluded. Well, that Colleyville officer didn't want to believe that or whatever. So he wrote me a ticket, and I was like, fine, I'll get it dismissed. And of course, I didn't have my driver's license on me at the time. I rushed her to work, and I was going to go take her vehicle out to Weatherford and get the front end fixed on it. Had a little front end issue. I was going to take care of that for her. And when I was going through Colleyville, I was going a little too fast. Well, of course, I was speeding. I was going to take my licks for that speeding. I was wrong. I should have been minding my manners, I guess. But I went up there, took them my license, took them my took them the insurance paperwork. Even got a letter from the owner of the vehicle saying I had permission to drive it. And I thought that they were going to dismiss those, and and I was just going to have to deal with the damn speeding ticket, in which I was going to try to sit it out. But let me read this letter to you. This is a letter I sent out. Like I said, well over 100 people in Colleyville, and I don't know, a handful, maybe 10, 20 people or so. I can't remember exactly how many over in White Settlement. Hello, Colleyville and White Settlement bureaucracy. Here, I'll set it up here. You are all going to love me after this. Got a winky smiley face. Do I have a story to tell you, all of you? Take a seat, sit back, and relax as I spin a yarn that is an actual tale of travesty, manipulation, control, greed, dishonor, criminality, miscarriage of justice, and the list goes on and on. One day, not so long ago, I was returning from the other side of Grapevine, where I had dropped my, at the time, girlfriend off at work. I was driving her truck, and that morning I forgot my wallet. I exited off 121 onto Mid-Cities Boulevard, or whichever the name that road has, depending on which municipality or city you are traveling through. I was definitely speeding, and when the Colleyville officer spun around and flipped on the overheads, I knew I was in the wrong and pulled over off that main road into a housing addition so that officer would feel safe when exiting his patrol vehicle. Little backstory, that little road right there. I mean, it's got people. It doesn't really have good spots to pull over. It's got culverts on both sides pretty much. There's a lot of traffic that goes through, a lot of people commuting, going to work, etc. So I was just trying to be safe. That's my little excerpt. All right, go back to the story, or go back to the letter. The officer, per standard operating procedures, then asked me for my identification and insurance. As I said before, I forgot my wallet that morning, and this was my girlfriend's truck. I explained that all to the officer, showed him the insurance card in the truck that, of course, did not have my name on it. According to Texas law at the time I was stopped, vehicle insurance covers any driver as long as that driver is not excluded. I explained that to the officer, who could have cared less and wrote me a no insurance ticket anyway. I was certain I would get the no insurance ticket and the no identification driver's license ticket dismissed when I took my driver's license and the insurance card with a letter I did not legally need from my girlfriend saying I had permission to operate her truck to the Colleyville Municipal Court or clerk. I also set the speeding ticket up for court so that I could sit the ticket out. I wasn't going to pay them a dime. I didn't have to. You don't have to. You just, sit it out. It's that simple. You know. Here's where it starts to get good. I went to court at the Colleyville Municipal Traffic Court and sat there as the judge gave a very enlightening speech to the captive audience. That judge talked about how the economy was in trouble and that Austin needed money. He then went on to say that if anyone came up to him and asked to sit out their tickets, that he would throw them in jail for contempt of court for 30 days, and after those 30 days, they would still have to deal with the ticket. Yet he would offer payment plans. As you can surmise, I was quite intimidated. When my name was called, I spoke to the judge and said that since you won't let me sit it out, I guess I'll have to make payments. I was so intimidated, I didn't even notice that I was apparently pleading guilty to all 3 tickets. I walked out of there thinking I would let the speeding ticket go warrant, and when I chose to turn myself in, I would get to sit it out, like I wanted to in the first place, getting a time-served verdict. Now we get into the really good stuff. After contacting an officer friend of mine to check my record for warrants, he informed me that I had 3 warrants in Colleyville. I was flabbergasted. Unbelievingly, especially when I found out that the no license and insurance tickets were warrants as well, so I wrote the Colleyville Municipal Court judge a letter requesting an administrative hearing. I asked the judge to please prove to me that his court and officers of his court were above reproach and not the abusive, power-hungry individuals I've seen on news outlets and the internet. The response I got was that Warrant Officer Fawcett of Colleyville, and I have to add that in there, this is all to Colleyville and y'all don't know that, somehow got my address off the letter, most likely because either the prosecutors or the judge gave it to him. He then proceeded to show up at my community, White Settlement, and riled them up into a mercenary force, complete with bulletproof vests and assault rifles. They then surrounded my home in that gear, as if I was some sort of enemy to the state. Thankfully, I was not home, because I fight to the death if necessary in order to protect my human rights from transgression, and that the first 10 amendments of the Bill of Rights of the Constitution that do not grant the people rights, but instead are there to restrict the governing body from transgressing and trampling upon the people's human rights. I should have went on a little bit more about that. That's okay. My current fiance was at home through all of this, scared half out of her mind as she watched the mercenaries, tax collectors, point assault rifles and surround the home. Officer Fawcett was the individual that she spoke with on the front porch. He berated her. He belittled her. He attempted to manipulate her. And when he asked to come in the home and search for me, after she expressed that I was not there, she told him he would have to have a warrant to enter the home. This apparently pissed Officer Fawcett off. So he turned to the White Settlement Mercenary Executioner Squad and defamed her by saying that she's lying, let's go. I then encouraged her to call the Colleyville Police Department and whomever was in charge of their officers, as well as our community department of White Settlement, to talk to whomever was in charge of their officers. When she was talking to Officer Tibbetts of White Settlement, he said that this was all over the letter I sent. He then asked what the warrants were for. In other words, the White Settlement Police Department did not even attempt to verify or find out why Officer Fawcett found it so important to bring a militarized group of officers to surround my home over a traffic warrant. When Officer Tibbetts found out what the warrants were over, he then expressed that we would not be bothered again. How is that for some shady bull crap? Question mark. Now, I was eventually forced, let me change hands real quick. I was eventually forced to plead out for time served on all 3 tickets due to a hold on me by Colleyville for an unrelated issue while awaiting trial in Tarrant County Jail. I was going to be damned if Colleyville was going to put me in their dog cages where I would most likely have been, based on all the events described thus far, severely abused. In other words, I asked for time served because I feared for my physical and mental safety and security for apparent good reason. Due to taking time served and pleading guilty to the insurance ticket, I now have this unconstitutional surcharge bullcrap to deal with to maintain a driver's license. Kind of akin to that surcharge hoop crap drunk drivers have to jump through, just not as expensive. Sorry about that. I should have reread this a couple of times before I related it. So, how are we going to rectify this so that I can get that part of my life back that you fucked up pieces of shit judges and police officers took from me? Can you tell I'm upset about all this? Laugh out loud. You would be too, believe me. I have chosen to send this email with a link to a YouTube video I did a week or so after Officer Fawcett riled up that posse of mercenaries to surround my house and punish me. To every email address I could find on the Colleyville website and to every email address I could find on the White Settlement website. Yeah, I didn't really get real too heavy into the White Settlement side, but I really got heavy on the emails in Colleyville. I wanted to know what the fuck's going on. And if you believe otherwise, that I wasn't wronged, then you are a complete blinded idiot and part of the problem, not the solution. I believe some sort of reparations and or remedies are in order, and at the bare minimum, or the very least, my record should be wiped clean of anything that this debacle and miscarriage of justice has caused to defame and criminalize me due to your system of injustice. This email or letter or book, it seems, is my attempt to remedy this situation without the need of any civil action. Enjoy your day. I hope this has shed some light on the truth that is your city and the truth that is our world. Have a great day. Carpe diem. Below is a link. I encourage all of you to check out my channel. I have some pretty good stuff on there. And of course, right there is the link to the video. So, I have yet to get a response. When did I send this? I sent this on November 15th, which was the Saturday before Veterans Day. So, again, I have yet to receive a response, any kind of response. Haven't got a response in my email. Of course, I didn't put my address down again. As far as they're concerned, they can kiss my fucking ass. They think I'm going to tell them where I live. Fuck them motherfuckers big time. All right, guys, we're at 13 minutes and plus. It's such a beautiful morning. It's supposed to be nice this week. Thanksgiving coming up, and I'm going to do an episode on Thanksgiving here shortly, either today or the next couple of days, or maybe on Thanksgiving. I'm not exactly sure. The truth about Thanksgiving. I consider myself Native American. I'm a 16th Creek. My great grandmother was full-blooded. She was ripped away from her family, forced into a Christian boarding school up in Jacksboro, and they beat, raped, molested the Indian out of her. Isn't that great? They did that to a lot of people, after they committed genocide and, after they forced them off their lands and pushed them off into the most desolate places to have reservations. Yeah. Well, we'll get into that another time. So I'll end it now. We're at 14:21. We'll try to keep it under 15. Carpe diem. Catch you on the flip side.